Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. It's time to finish out Shoegaze week, and it's a bittersweet ending. I'm a bit relieved to be moving on to stuff that I feel more comfortable in, but it also means the end of a little journey, at least as far as the channel goes. I might end up doing some Shoegaze exploration on my own, just because it does intrigue me. But, yeah. So let's finish this up. Fridays, I get to pick my personal selection from the poll, and there were too many comments about Holy Fawn just being phenomenal. And I kind of find that interesting, juxtaposed with actually how they did in the polls. It wasn't too hot. I think they were like fifth place, maybe sixth place, out of 10, 12. I don't remember how many I think it was 10, like usual. We usually have 10. So yeah, they were right around in the middle, but a lot of people are just talking about how awesome they were. So we're going to get into that. Just so happens to be the newest track, at least this music video came out in March of 2019. So yeah, definitely the newest song of the week. So I'm interested to see kind of how Shoegaze has evolved from its inception to now. That was not intentional, but I am glad that that's how this ended. We started with My Bloody Valentine, which is, from what I understand, the inception point. That was some of the best shoegaze from the 90s, kind of kicked it all off, and now we're seeing where it's at currently. So let's get into this one. Well, we definitely have that real harsh grittiness juxtaposed with... Yeah, so this is definitely shoegaze. We have a bit more of a modern production on it, though. Yeah, these vocals are really pushed down into the mix. There's a lot more of a traditional strong structure so far, at least. Really nice melodic elements going on too. Well, I guess technically harmonic elements. The melody line is loosely a lead, but there's a lot of really cool note relationship ideas going on. Once again, we kind of see that gritty texture kind of sitting in the back. Oh, so that's a bit of a change. All right. Yeah. Interesting. Like an ambient, muffled screaming sounds. I can't tell if there's. I see two people singing, but the vocals are shoved so far down in the mix, it's hard to hear. Yeah, that was yeah, that caught my ear in quite the right way. Um, but uh, it's a very different style than the rest of the stuff we've listened to. Um, it still has a very strong shoegaze foundation to it. We have dreamy, ethereal vocals that are, very wide, um, and a bit of reverb to them. She's huge, and the singing is in the higher range. I think all this week, other than Have a Nice Life, we had female vocals throughout. And I think this was the first one where we had a male vocal, but still in the upper register, getting that same style, that same effect. I'm trying to remember Have a Nice Life's lyrics, and it's escaping me. I mean vocals. I don't remember where the singer was at in those. Um, but anyways, we have these dreamlike, ethereal, very reverby and wide vocals paired with some clean guitars and sparse drums paired against some heavy distortion and audio destruction, just sort of really pushing the sound and the pushing the limits to what sounds not destructive, I guess, in a sense, is the best way I can put it. That's a word I've used a lot this week for sure, is destruction. But that's what I feel. They really pushing audio to the point that it breaks. There's so much clipping going on in these, just so much distortion on the guitars. It's yeah, it feels like the song is ready to crack. Just start leaking out sonic energies. um However, the song structure in this fits a lot cleaner into your typical. That's pretty much an ABAB. Did we go back to the verse? I don't know. We had a clear verse and chorus, and then I remember the bridge, and then um, the screamed chorus. So maybe like ABC modified B. Maybe I'd have to go back and give it a listen. I mean, we got 6 minutes long, but they spent a lot of time in each section. So I think it was only 4 sections long, but there might have been a second chorus before he hit the bridge. I don't recall. Um, so yeah, it fits more of a traditional sort of song structure than the other stuff we've checked out this week. I've mentioned post rock quite a few times with the other stuff. I think this is maybe the furthest away from post rock that we've listened to as far as structure goes. Um, there's not a lot of droning in here. The bridge was kind of drony, but for the most part, they always had some sort of melody line that created some sort of musical momentum, pushing the song towards the end, which is the one thing that I said was just not working for me this week was the lack of direction and momentum. A lot of the songs just kind of existed in a pocket. So these guys, Holy Fawn, they took the aesthetic and the atmosphere of shoegaze and put it into a more traditional song structure and applied a little bit of melody to the concept and came out with something that fits better to my personal tastes. And yeah, it's also interesting to see that these are the newest band or the newest song that we've checked out during this week, and I don't know if that's more of an evolution of shoegaze to incorporate more traditional composition ideas, or if that's just Holy Fawn style, and maybe there is modern shoegaze that is very close to the original stuff. But this just hits me a whole lot better. This does not bounce off of me as hard as the rest of the stuff. I particularly enjoyed the ending. The layered screams against some of the clean vocals. There were 3 people singing at one time, I believe. The drummer, the lead singer, and then the guitarist, I think. Um, and all of that with the heavy extreme distortion certainly created a mood that, as I mentioned the other day, I think would be very difficult to replicate without the extreme distortion. Not to mention that it's more of a complex emotion due to the fact that there's still clean beauty sitting underneath, well, sitting within the dissonance. And I don't think that can be replicated without extreme distortion, whether that's coming from a guitar amp or it's done digitally. Maybe you got just a really fuzzy, like a synth pad or something. Um, I can't imagine 100% replicating the emotion that shoegaze can pull with purely acoustic instruments. You can get some fuzz with brass mutes, or even just sort of. There's this terminology we used to have as trumpet players called blowing out. And you basically push way too much air through the instrument, and it ends up getting not distorted in a sense, but the resulting sound is a bit dirty. And if you do that with a trombone or a tuba into the lower register, you might get a bit of the distortion necessary to kind of replicate this, but it's not going to be anywhere near on the same level. Um, you're gonna have to, I think for the most part you're gonna have to stick with lower register instruments. I'm thinking maybe like a Barry sax. You might be able to get some grittiness out of it, but strings, I think they're kind of off the table. Percussion's a bit off the table, unless there's some obscure percussion instrument I can't think of. Vocals, you could introduce some of it, but I think you're going to lose a lot of the atmosphere unless you have a choir of growlers or a choir of compression singers, really getting some of that grit in there, and that's just going to be really difficult to balance. So, I've actually been thinking about this a bit in the past couple of days. If we could replicate, because I mentioned this the other day, this type of music I said was pretty difficult to replicate acoustically. And so, in some of my spare time, my brain's been returning to that concept, and I don't. I think it's something special that digital and electric instruments have, where they can apply all of this uh, dissonance through the overdrive and the distortion, and really blowing out the sounds. And shoegaze, just they find a fantastic way of marrying that with uh, pop rock vocals and guitar work, and it creates this extremely unique atmosphere that I've said many times this week I've never heard before. That is probably my big takeaway here, is just the emotion that this strange pocket between distortion and clean poppiness kind of bring together. And it's wild. It's an interesting emotion. For whatever reason, like I said, this song hits me. Holy Fawn's Dark Stone, and I'm probably going to dig into Holy Fawn a little bit and see what happens. I don't know if this is going to be something I come back to often. Um, I mentioned like last October, November, for whatever reason, doom metal was really hitting me, and I think it's mostly the atmosphere. And doom metal sort of fell off my radar around the beginning of this year, so that was something that I was just kind of in the mood for at the time, and it was just hitting. Just the timing was right on it, and for whatever reason, this one's hitting well there as well. This song, just the emotion, the atmosphere, just kind of hit me very well. And like I said, the song structure and the way that they sort of marry the, what is this genre? The shoegaze foundation with some melody work helps me stay interested in it a bit better than some of the more repetitive drony stuff that we've checked out this week. So, those are my thoughts on Holy Fawn and kind of shoegaze as a whole. This has been a week, and we've heard a lot of my thoughts. And even one time, I didn't have any thoughts, which is new for the channel. This is where you guys come in, hit me up. Let me know in the comments what you thought about Holy Fawn's Darkstone, and if you have any comments about shoegaze as a whole. Maybe this was an introduction week for you as well, and maybe you have some ideas about it, having listened to 5 songs now. And yeah, let me know in the comments. There's a description box with some links adjacent to the channel, Patreon, Discord, Twitter. There's some buttons, a like, a subscribe, and a bell to ring. They help out the channel immensely. I will be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 p.m. UTC with this weekend's special selection, and it feels great to be on time, back on schedule. Tomorrow's Saturday, and I can say we're going to check out Saturday specials. Like, this is great. I love it. It's going to take a lot of stress off me. Some well-deserved rest after doing 8 days of double videos. Sunday will also be special selection, and Monday we will be getting into instrumental week. So that's going to be pretty cool. Instrumental week returns. Actually, we have done instrumental week before. It was week 30 or something. Pretty early on in the Patreon picks the theme process. The first like 20 weeks or so was just me I don't think we had themes. I don't. We did a couple like J-Rock. But for the most part it was just me picking random songs. And about week 30ish is when I started the Patreon and started letting them pick themes, and I think the channel's better for it so far. Having some sort of cohesion between the music kind of helps drive conversation. Like this week, I've kind of seen shoegaze evolve over 5 songs in a way that if we had just done My Bloody Valentine and then moved on to something else would not have worked as well. I would not have, well, I would have walked away flabbergasted without a chance to really dive into the genre and figure out what's going on. So I like the themed weeks, even the ones that are a bit looser themed, like Instrumental Week. We're not going to see a strong correlation between genre or anything like that, but we're going to check out some music, probably rock and metal oriented, though it doesn't have to be, um, without vocals in it. So that'll be fun. Yeah, so until next time, remember to be critical and not cynical of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you choose to watch my videos.